What up, OAKHEADS? We back. Episode 3, we're about to begin. I haven't hit start yet on the DVR. I just want to first say thanks to all the watchers, the viewers, and people who subscribe. Second episode really kicked butt. The numbers are up. It's awesome. I appreciate it. I'm really stoked that you guys enjoyed the show. I'm gonna keep trying. Sorry if you hear that in the back. That's the dryer. We're doing laundry right now when it's on the spin cycle, so it's really loud, but gotta get to Oakhead Island. I want to take care of that, so make sure if you're here, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the thumbs up button. Do not hit the thumbs down button. That's a negative. And if you're negative, that's cool. Just move on. You don't have to prove your point or something. You're not really doing much by saying you're thumbs downing my show. Just don't watch it. It's cool. I don't care. I don't watch your show, but I would never thumbs down it. That's just not cool. That's not the spirit of the show. And I don't think the other Oakheads appreciate that. Also, just real quick before we get to it, really appreciate the comments. People like Luis Babcock, Beijing Yang, thank you so much. James Hill, I think I know who you are. Melvin, Robert, a lot of nice comments, and I appreciate everyone, and I'll get to them later after the recap. I'll go to the comments and talk about them, but certain people, look, guys like Video Buddha 23 saying cut down on the word like why would you write that? Like 10 million likes, that's to you, buddy. That doesn't even help. No one wants to see that comment. Also, Mateo, dude, for real? Why start a video like that? We aren't your doctor or dentist. No need to say, Hey, guess what, buddy? No one asked you. Also, my dentist, he actually does watch the show. He's a big fan, and he's a doctor. So take that, buddy. All right, here we go. We're going to start the show. Season 7, Episode 3. Let's go! All right, okay, here we are. First commercial break. And so far, pretty exciting episode, I'm not gonna lie. Show starts out with Dr. Ian Spooner, an environmental geoscientist. He has joined, you remember him from the last episode, he came in and did some samples of the swamp, after they dug down, pulled out some of that sedimentary stuff, and he did his observations. So they're in the war room, the whole gang's there. Jack Bagley, he's back. A lot of people pointed out that we didn't see him in the last episode, and I didn't notice it last time, or I would have put it in the show. But after listening to some other podcasts and reading comments, you're right. We didn't see Jack that last week. Nice to see him back. Nice to see a solid Jack Bagley head nod. Ready? Yeah, it's pretty good, huh? Okay. So Dr. Ian Spooner, he specializes in sediments, and he took a look at the samples that they pulled, and he had determined that the swamp, right? So basically he can see inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, kind of a history of what the swamp is made of and things like that. And he has determined that the swamp is about 300 to 400 years old. Wow. Okay. For you Oakheads, you know what that means, right? And for those who don't, basically, they've long had a theory that the swamp was man-made. And I always thought that was kind of weird because, how do you make a swamp? But then it kind of makes sense. It's not that they set out to make a swamp, it's that they blocked off part of the island and it became a swamp. So, if that's the case, if this swamp has only been there for 300 or 400 years, that's interesting because that means that possibly it's man-made or that people worked on it, So now you're starting to see some of these theories about, possibly putting a ship in the swamp and then closing it off and then, eventually a swamp was made. Look, there's also, could be anything, all right? It could just be the natural occurrence, Mother Nature changes, tides go up, tides go down, you have a couple years of mudslides and it kind of, makes its own cove, it fills it up and then that becomes a swamp. I don't know. Not saying man had to make it, but either way, we can say that It's relatively new, that swamp, and that's huge news, okay? That's really big news. He also says he doesn't think that it was two separate islands, completely separate islands, which I never thought was the case, but he said it could be something, you know, not necessarily two separate islands, but like way different than how it looks now. So that's big news. Big facts going on here. So they also showed that Dr. Ian Spooner and his team, I believe from Arcadia, as he, you know, he's got an Arcadia shirt on there, went and got other samples, okay, throughout the week that they didn't show. Probably because not much happened. They just, you know, it's kind of boring. They probably videotaped it. Alex was there. They probably sent the young kid with the young college girls that were there. Did a couple samples. But what they did do was see that the swamp, there's vegetation throughout the swamp, except for one part. There's one part there where there's like a little circle and there's no vegetation. And they started like taking a metal rod and started hitting around. They realized they found a bunch of stones on the floor. Now think about it. If there's a bunch of stones on the floor of the swamp, then obviously things can't grow, you know, through the stones really. So that's why there's this circle where there's no vegetation. And that's something they didn't expect. So what do? They do what they always do. They go and explore. So the next scene, we have Steve. I think his name is, it's either Gumtail or Govtail. I should have rewound and look how to actually spell it. But either way, Steve's with him. He's new to the team. It's him, Marty, Gary Drayton, rocking his Gary Drayton hat. Shout out to the hat. Shout out to my wife for buying me this hat. Great birthday gift. Probably one of the best gifts I ever got. And also little young Alex Lagina, looking pretty ripped. Alex, I think, is hitting the weight room. I don't know. I think he's coming on his own. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's hitting the weight room because his arms are looking pretty jacked. He's looking really good. Looking like he's working out. I'm not much of a workout guy. I'm doing okay, but I'm kind of older. But Alex looking good. And, you know, they got him rowing. They got him and his huge arms rowing, and they're going out. And Gary's got the wetsuit on, and they're going looking. And they're going to go look for those rocks. And so they went to the rocks, and Gary's in his wetsuit, and he's got this giant metal pole, and he starts hitting stuff. And he thinks it's rocks, but he's not sure if it's metal. And what does he do? Well, it's Gary Drayton. He brings out his metal detector. Duh. And he reaches underneath, and he gets a couple that, you know, our OAKHEADS know that sound. Beep, 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 beep. And might be some metal down there. And of course, they go to commercial break. Very exciting. Can't wait. Let's see what's down there. I'm feeling, you know, I'm always skeptical because, you know, they don't find too much, but this one feels good. This episode so far is feeling good. The promo for the next break, a lot of digging. I'm excited. So far, I think this episode's already better than last week. Last week was kind of a dud, unfortunately, but, you know, like I said, for every valley, there's a peak, and maybe the peak is in the swamp. Let's find out. All right, OAKHEADS, we are back. Ooh, who am I? That's right. I'm Gary Drayton, classic Gary Drayton. Ooh. All right. So they're in the swamp and they're peeking around, and Gary hits something, you know, and we start to figure out what's down there. Steve Guptill, that's his name. I learned it. It's Steve Guptill, the surveyor, is with Gary, Alex, and Marty. And what Gary is doing is he's in the swamp and he's using his metal rod and he keeps hitting objects. And then he's taking his metal detector, spot detector, going down and feeling the vibration of metal. And he thinks it's iron. It feels like iron, or it says it's iron. So Steve Guptill takes his GPS device. It's like this long stick, and wherever Gary's finding metal or finding an object, he puts the stick down, and then he marks it, and that has a GPS marker, so that, you know, afterwards they'll, you know, this thing's kind of can use GPS and give you an exact location of where they hit it. That way later they can come back and look at those spots, right, once they figure out what's going on. So Basically what they're doing is they have plotted the whole thing, and it seems to be that, could it be? It's, guess who? The Knights Templar. That's right. We have our first Knights Templar reference. And the reason is they keep talking about the eye of the swamp, right? It's this kind of circle thing that vegetation can't grow. And it's kind of at the peak. Think of the triangle. They show you an object. If you look at my hands, kind of up here. See that? That's kind of the eye of it. Kind of right around here. Yeah, it's almost like I'm doing an eye of it right there. Look. Hey. That's me. That's the eye. That's the eye. And, of course, they have to make a reference that the eye of the swamp is the eye of the Providence, which is a Knights Templar reference. Nice. Also, the Freemasons use that, the eye as a symbol. And that FDR added the eye to the dollar bill. Right? If you check out the dollar, you'll see that there's a little triangle, and the little pyramid up top is separate, and it has an eye in it. Now, that's a Freemason symbol. And if you watch enough History Channel, you know that FDR was a Freemason. And we know that FDR once was looking for treasure in Oak Island. Now, that is one heck of a leap. Good for the show for trying that connection. I'm not buying it, folks. I think it's kind of insane that you would go from the eye of the swamp, a place where there's no vegetation, and assume that to then touch both Knights Templar and then Freemasons, and then to FDR, to the symbol of our dollar, and therefore all this could be connected. The odds of that, I don't know. That just sounds crazy. Okay. How about this? The Knights Templar didn't have an aerial view. They didn't have an aerial view of the island. They didn't know what it was going to look like. There's no way they could have thought like, oh, I got to put this in the eye of the swamp because, before the swamp was even there, and then assume that would be the case of this eye of Providence. Okay. Anyway, that's the show being the show. That's why we love the show. Great job. Great job making that connection. I'm just not buying it. What I am buying it is that they are going to drain the swamp. Now that's exciting because we know there's something down there. Because if we look, and then they come back to the war room, and they have aerial views from 1920, which was very impressive. I didn't know we had aerial views of Oak Island from 1920. 1920 was a long ass time ago. Like, it's over 100 years. But they have photos of it. And they show a progression of photos from 1920, 1940, 1950, all the way to 1980, up to now. And the eye of the swamp is always the same. There's no vegetation, right? And when they use Steve Guptill's information, you can see that there's kind of a circle around of objects of metal and rocks that Gary has found. And that's what seems to be preventing the vegetation from growing in that circle. And they're all metal objects around except one spot, and that's what Gary found, that was this round kind of rock that was like dome shaped, really big, with one side flat. And Marty keeps talking that these are some of the giant symbol rocks, location rocks, possibly that they've been finding throughout the island. Again, I see why that makes sense in 2019 when you're stepping back and looking, and maybe they were able to use these markers as some giant bigger symbol, but I just don't know. I don't know, because I just like to think that they would have the ability to be able to look from the sky and to plot these kind of markers to line up in a special way. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe, but then again, I don't know if you guys heard about the pyramids. I don't know if you heard about things like Stonehenge. It's not impossible. People have been doing crazy stuff like this throughout all of history. For thousands of years, humans have done some amazing stuff that there's no way I could do in 2019, even with all the technology I have, but people were able to do. So I'm not going to put it past them to have some kind of bigger, giant, structures and markers, like giant boulders, and set up some kind of cross for whatever reason. Like, dudes back in the day were kind of wild like that. They were really into stuff like that. Look at Stonehenge, look at look at the Sphinx. Like, I don't know how they did that, but they did it. So I can't 100%, say it's impossible, because it's not impossible, because we have evidence of, crazier man-made things that line up, with the stars and all that stuff. So it's possible. That's just not what I think right now. I think I need more evidence. But what I am sure is, man, there might be something in the eye of the swamp. There's metal, there's iron down there, there's rocks. It seems like a circle. It seems like it could be very interesting. Now, it seems like the team is definitely going to drain that part of the swamp. They're not sure how it's going to work, because draining a swamp is difficult. They do have a draining permit, but they don't have a digging permit. So they're hoping to at least drain it and even get to like a foot of water, so they can kind of really figure it out and see what it is. I'm wondering why they can't just build almost like a mini cofferdam around the eye, right? Like, just use those metal things and put it in a giant circle, way bigger than what they've detected, and then drain that out. That seems to be a way to, that seems to make the most sense, right? Like, if you can drain from the ocean, if you can put a cofferdam into the ocean, you should be able to do a 200-foot, 100-foot circle in the swamp and get that thing drained and start finding out where the gold is. That's what I would do. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. Back to the show. All right, OAKHEADS, we are back. It's actually been 2 commercial breaks, because didn't think there was enough in the first one to interrupt and update. But so 2 commercial breaks later, and let's go. First of all, first one, Sean Wilson of Wilson Excavation Limited. They bring him in because he is an expert on draining swamps. I didn't know you could be an expert on draining swamps, but apparently Sean Wilson of Wilson Excavation Limited is. And I was kind of right. When I said, like, you could build a cofferdam around a swamp? Basically what Sean says is it's called a dig box or a trench cave. And what you're doing is you put in these I think they said aluminum boxes around where you want to dig. And you go in, you take all the stuff out, and you put it in another box. And then that way the box prevents the swamp from caving in on itself, right? Because you can't have that happen, because you'd probably die. And then you put the stuff in another box, and then you can slowly go through that and see what's in there, and look for gold. So it seems like that's going to be the plan eventually for the swamp. Basically, put these dig boxes, these trench caves in. They said they can be about 16 feet big. I don't know if that's per side. I'm guessing that's per side, 16 feet by 16 feet. About 4 to 16 feet high. You can even stack them up, they said. So you can get a lot of stuff in there. They got to look at, do the math and see if that makes sense. But that seems to be what they're going to do, and that sounds pretty awesome. And that's how they'll dig the swamp, try to find out if it really are Knights Templars or Freemasons or FDR who, looking for the eye of the swamp. And then Alex Lagina next. Alex Lagina, Peter Finetti, and Charles Barkhouse go to St. Mary's College, and they visit Krista Brousseau, Associate Professor of Chemistry. You probably know Krista and her partner, Dr. Sean Yang. And they are bringing that metal swage hammer type digging object to them. We saw it in the last episode. And what they're going to do is Krista and Sean Yang are going to take, it's called a SEM microscope. And basically what that is it's like a super high powered microscope, way more powerful than, your regular microscope that uses light to magnify. This thing uses electrons, and you can get way closer look, and also see what it's made out of. So it's like that kind of microscope. You get to see what these swages are made out of. And the first thing she notices is that there's no manganese in that. Now, what does that mean? That means that it's probably pre-1840. I'm not a scientist, but what I understand is they add manganese is an element that they start adding, or that you'll see in iron after 1840, right? Like, as we get, technology grows and we get better, we kind of change how we use certain metals. So basically anything after 1840 would have manganese in it, but since they don't find it, they can tell that it's pre-1840. And why is that important? Well, Charles Barkhouse says it's important because there's only been 2 known times of excavations pre-1840. So it's kind of narrowing it down to when these things could have been on the island. And not only that, but the 2 times that they were there, they weren't on that side of the island. So more Curse Island mysteries, right? Because, what does this mean? When were they using these objects on this side of the island? Was there something happening before the 2 times that they known excavations there? We don't know. Could it be as simple as they took these 2 objects and some dude wanted to go check out the other side of the island and went over there and on their lunch break and left them there, and 200 years later we found them and now we're pretending like there's a whole other story to it? I don't know. No one knows. But that's part of the mystery of Curse Oak Island, right? That's how this thing works. But still, great news. Big news. Very, very old digging tools on Oak Island. That in itself is huge, I think. I don't know about you. Comment below. Why don't you comment below and tell me if this is big news or not? I need your help, guys. I think it's really big. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But let me know in the comments, is this big news? Is this something that we should really, really think about? Also, let me know about the swamp. Let me know about the dig boxes, and let me know if that's important. I think it is, but I could be wrong. I'm willing to listen to you guys. And then next, we go back. We're back in Smith's Cove. Last year was huge. They found so much stuff. They saw the whole wood planks. They found the box drain. A lot of stuff down in Smith's Cove last year. So this year what they're going to do is they're going to build out that coffer-dam. You know about that. And now they're going to start drilling and kind of seeing what they can find. Trying to do a couple boreholes. Their classic boreholes. Drill down, pull up some stuff. Take a look. Let's see what's down there. Hopefully we find gold. So now we're back to the next commercial break. About to start drilling in Smith's Cove. I'm really excited. I know you Oakheads are too. Comment below how excited you are. We'll see you after the break. All right, Oakheads, we are back. The last bit of the show, and it gets exciting, folks. I'm telling you, this is a good one. This was a good one. All right. First of all, we're going to spend the rest of the show in Smith's Cove. And what they're going to do is they're going to start drilling these boreholes and trying to find some evidence in Smith's Cove. Now, over the course of history, there's been drastic changes in elevation. So, whatever information they had back in the day, it's going to change because the Earth has changed. The landscape has changed over all these years. So they now think they need to dig 90 to 120 feet deep to make sure they hit the spots that they think they were. So basically, if old excavators were saying, it was about 70 feet. Well, with the changes of everything, you need to actually go to 90 or 120 feet to make sure that you get to where previous people have dug, because as time changes, as the elevation changes, 50 feet deep 200 years ago is not 50 feet deep today. So they're going to drill down 90 to 120 feet, make sure they get it all. Our man Terry Matheson is in charge, and he's looking in the zone of interest. That's what they're calling it. The zone of interest is kind of that sweet spot where they think most likely some stuff is, where that drain tunnel would be. And so they start searching. They don't see much. 60 feet down, 70 feet down, they don't see it. And then eventually, during the zone of interest, where they really start to think that this is our best guess of where stuff lies, they find some soft clay. Now, I know you're thinking, soft clay, what does that mean? I didn't know at the time. But the soft clay, it's amorphous. There's not many stones in it. It's something they haven't seen before. So, look, I don't really know what that means, but they know what it means, and they're the experts. They're the people who find treasure. So, Terry starts getting excited because he's not used to what he sees. And then he starts smelling the stuff. And he says it smells something charred. And then he picks up a piece and he's like, is this dynamite? Dynamite. Yeah, folks, dynamite. So then we go to commercial, and then we come back. And they start smelling it. And Rick shows up, and it smells like dynamite. Now, in 1897, the Oak Island Treasure Company, led by Frederick Blair, is trying, they're going for the money pit. They're digging down the money pit, but it keeps getting flooded. So what they try to do is they dig these giant boreholes, and they drop dynamite in there. They set off 50 to 70 pounds of dynamite. And what that is trying to do is they're trying to blow up the ground. And the idea is that if you blow up the earth this deep, think about it. If there's a tunnel and you blow the tunnel up, it'll explode underground. And then what'll happen is it'll clog itself, right? Think about that. If you got a tunnel going down in earth and you blow this part up, that tunnel's going to collapse on itself, and then the water won't go through. So that was their plan. Problem was, they started seeing water bubbling up in the money pit and other places they dug, so it didn't work, right? So what does that mean? Well, they look through the clay and they find evidence of dynamite. Terry has a piece and he shows it to Rick, and it's clearly a former piece of dynamite in there. Now, look, that is an ancient treasure. It's not Knights Templar. It's not the lead cross or anything like that. But what it is a sign of they have found the spot where the Oak Island Treasure Company, led by Frederick Blair, was digging. And they knew where the original money pit was in 1897. So, you see the connection now, right? What they're saying is, we found the spot that the previous people knew was important. So now, okay, you get that? That's why it's important. Not because of what they are, not that the dynamite is important. They knew the dynamite existed. They knew this place existed. But it's a sign that they're on the right track to find the original money pit or the original flood tunnels, which should lead to the money pit. So it's actually huge. It doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a booby dazzler or anything crazy like that, but it is a big, big clue into the history of the excavation of Oak Island, which could lead to the flood tunnels, which could lead to the money pit. So that's where we're at. That's the end of the episode. I thought it was outstanding. A great episode. A lot of stuff. We found a lot of evidence. There's a lot of things going on. It's not like the biggest episode, but I thought it was really, really good because it set up a lot for the season. Where the last episode was a lot of like I said, valleys and peaks, right? Last episode was answers to questions, right? But we didn't like the answers. This episode was answers to questions, but we like the answers. These are things we're finding. We're finding the age of that swage hammer. We're finding metal, iron in the swamp. We're finding dynamite, clues of previous things that we need to find. So I really thought this episode was great. A lot of stuff happened. Nothing, not an A+ episode, but like a really strong episode. Very, very happy with this one. And then we see the preview for next week. And next week's episode looks even better, right? We see Gary Drayton find something. It looks like a top pocket find. Some sort of metal object. It looks like a leaf. They say it might be a maritime symbol. I'm not sure what, but next week we are finding something. There's another clue we're gonna find. So that's great. And then they start drilling some more in Smith's Cove. And I'm really excited for Smith's Cove because if you saw some of the other previews, man, they find some kind of tunnel, they find some kind of structure. So we're getting closer and closer and closer. My guess is we'll find the big thing probably at the end of the year, because that's what they do, right? They take one big thing and they stick it in the last episode, and the whole season is 22 episodes of us getting to the next thing that we have to, keeps us around for the following year. I'm cool with that. That's what the show is. I hope the show goes on forever. It's my favorite show. I don't care. Keep searching. Keep making it great. I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep being on YouTube, talking about the show, recapping the show. And you're hopefully going to be here too. And hopefully you're going to subscribe to the show. That's right. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, because the thumbs up and the subscribe puts, gets the show on more eyeballs, right? The thumbs down, don't do that. Just don't do it. It's not fun. It's not helping me. It's not helping anyone else. And the thing is, you might say, oh, I don't like the show. That's cool. This show might not be for you. That's fine. I didn't make the show for you. All right? I made it for OAKHEADS. All right? And then for the OAKHEADS to be able to find the show, they need thumbs up. So if you're watching the show and you like it, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment, because that'll help other OAKHEADS find the show. And the bigger the community we have, the bigger people chime in and comment below on YouTube and on Facebook and all the stuff, we're going to be closer to finding and solving this treasure, this mystery of Oak Island. The more comments we have, we're going to figure out. I want to bring up a couple comments. A lot of people talked. This was great. Last week, here we go. Let's talk about it. The cave-in pit. Robert Ronders. He says, I don't remember hearing about the cave-in pit. Robert Zubrowski. I remember reading about it years ago, but don't remember hearing about it on the show. That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. You're contributing to the show, and it's helping the show grow. It's getting better and better. We grew, I think we grew almost 10 times in viewership, still growing, maybe even more. That's amazing. If we grow 10 times again, we keep growing 10 times each episode. By the 22th episode, we're going to have I don't know the math, but probably 20 million people watching the show. And you're going to be able to say, you know what? I was there, episode 3, I subscribed. If you haven't subscribed or ever, hit that little button. I gave it a thumbs up. Episode 3, I gave it a thumbs up. That's what you're going to want to be a part of. That's going to be great. Don't be the person that gave it a thumbs down. Don't be the person like Video Buddha 23 saying cut down on the word like, or Mateo being like, oh, I don't want to see your mouth. All you have to do is not do that. It's really easy. Easiest thing you do on the internet is nothing. All right? If you don't like something, just don't do anything. Just hit next. No one cares. All right? It's the easiest thing you can do. You commenting is actually even worse. Why would you do that? I don't get it. If you don't like something, don't do it. Right? I mean, come on. I don't really like black licorice. I don't go around eating it. Right? That'd be dumb. I don't go to the store and then say, oh, I hate black licorice. Let me go buy a bag of it and put it in my mouth and then complain about it. I just go, I'm just going to buy something else. I'm going to buy some chocolate, because I like chocolate. Other people like chocolate. I'm not going to hate on chocolate. I love chocolate. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Thank you, everyone, all you OAKHEADS out there. I appreciate you. This has been great. I'm going to keep doing the show. No, nothing's going to stop me. There's no way a hater will ever stop me. Ain't going to happen. I don't care what you say. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep helping each other out. We're a team, all right? Just like Marty and Rick, they're family. But they got a team. They got Gary. They got, everyone. It's a team. They got a war room. That's kind of what we are. We're an internet war room. It's right here on this channel. OAKHEADS, appreciate you. This has been episode 3 of OAKHEAD Island. I can't wait for next week. We'll see you back here, but only if you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends. We'll see you guys next week. Let's find that gold.